All right, so now we are going to talk about Sequence Creator. So Sequence Creator is where we can put combinations of stitches together to make new borders or new combinations. So you can see, let me go back here. I think I jumped ahead. Let me show you. Down here is the icon we touch. It's called Sequence Creator, and that's what activates that feature in the machine. So now this has taken us to a new screen. So in this screen now, we can go and we can start selecting stitches that we want to add together. So for the ones that we're going to do today is we're going to go into miscellaneous stitches. And I believe we want to be in submenu 3. So we're at 6, submenu 3. And I'm going to work with stitch 10, stitch 9, and stitch 11 because I want to put these ones together because they work really great together. So we're going to select the little house, which is stitch 10. And you can see on the screen now we have a single house. And what do we need with a house? We need a garage. So I interpret this as a garage. It's probably not, more like a cabin. But I'm going to put this garage with the house. So, and what is going to complete it? A nice tree. So now I've combined it. I combined this combination of stitches together, which we will sew out in just a minute. If I need to go up because I made a mistake and I need to edit one of the stitches above, I can just move up and I can edit that stitch. I can also go down here to my stitch settings icon. I can open up some more adjustments. If I needed to mirror image one of the stitches or flip flop it, I can do it there. If I needed to delete the last stitch that I had done or whatever stitch is highlighted in green, I can use my trash can to delete, but let me get my tree back. If I need to make a copy, I can make a copy by hitting my copy there. Or if I hold it down, it'll ask me how many copies I want, but we're going to get rid of one of those trees now. Or if we need to make an adjustment to the length or the width of the stitch, we can do that here. But I want it back up to normal. So width, length. So we have all of our stitch adjustments in our stitch settings. But so once we finish our combination and we are ready to sew, all we have to do is hit our foot control. We don't have to hit anything else. We're ready to rock at this point. So let me change the camera. All right, so I'm gonna use my start stop button and we're gonna start sewing. All right, so I'm gonna touch my cutter button again so that it will complete the pattern before it locks and cuts. And that is happening, we talked about this in an earlier video, that happens because the needle is moving, and when we hit the cutter when the needle is moving, it's always going to wait till the pattern is finished before it cuts. All right, so now we have our pattern of our home with a little garage and the tree. So yep, got the combination we wanted, really easy, just program it and start sewing and it's done. So let's go back over to the screen now. I want to talk about a few other little things over here that we see in our Sequencing Creator app. One is if we did need to make it do the house, the garage, the tree, and we just wanted it to stop and cut after that, just that pattern, we can go into this icon here and we can tell it to add a cut. So now after the tree, the machine is going to stop and cut automatically. Or we don't want to cut, we just want it to stop, or we can add a stop, or we can add a tie off, or we can do any combinations of those things. And then if we added too many, which I just did on the screen, I can just go to my trash can and trash can, trash can, trash can, and get rid of those guys there. So that is adding commands into the sequence. This one right here is if we were trying to make the sequence go off in multiple directions, we could do that. We have 90 degrees, so we can move things around. I can make it go, stitching go off 45 degree, and then I can repeat the pattern there. So I can go in a lot of different directions here if we wanted to use this wheel to guide things off into different directions. I find I don't actually use this feature. I mainly just want to do straight borders, but it's there, so I wanted to talk about it. So that is what that guy is there. So those are all of our controls and how we use the sequence creator on the PFAFF. So now we are going to go over and we're going to work in Stitch Creator. Really quick though, really quick. I just want to mention to you, so if we did start sewing this sequence here, and if we need to re-edit it, if we go back into Sequence Creator by hitting this button, it's going to start a new one. So it's going to have, the slate's going to be white, clean, and we're going to have to redo the sequence. But if we noticed when we sewed this off that we need to make a slight change, do not go into Sequence Creator here. Go into Stitch Edit. Now this will take the stitch back into sequencing here by hitting this one. Now we're back into Sequence Creator. The stitch is back in there. It's not been taken away and we can re-edit it. So again, if we went just back into Sequence Creator, this would be all gone and we would have to recreate it. Also too, if we did make a sequence or a pattern and we want to save that pattern, you have a little heart symbol at the bottom corner where we can then go and save the pattern. You can see the one that we saved in the earlier video. So then we can name it whatever pattern we want, little house, and then we save it, and now we can recall it whenever we want to reuse that pattern. So if it's a year from now we want to reuse it, great, we can do that. All right, so now we're just going to cancel that because we're not going to save it. Now we get to go into Stitch Creator right here. Stitch Creator is so much fun. I love Stitch Creator. We could probably spend the next 8 hours in Stitch Creator, but we are not going to. We're just going to highlight some of the best features in Stitch Creator. When we're in Stitch Creator right now, we have no stitches on the screen. We have a blank slate. We can do so many wonderful things. I can create stitches from scratch, and we'll do this in a minute, where I'm actually doing my own stitches, or I could go in and I can bring stitches from the machine that I want to change or alter in any way. And I'll show you some quick ones that are commonly used. And we have two different ways that we can bring a stitch into Stitch Creator. One is I can come up here and I can go retrieve my stitch. The other is, if I'm not in Stitch Creator, I can go find the stitch that I want by either going to this menu or going to this menu. And then there is the option to load that stitch that we have on the screen into Stitch Creator for some fast adjustments. So I'm going to find now the stitch that I want to work with. So I'm going to pause the camera real quick because it takes me a second to find it. Okay, the stitch that I like to work with, I have a few that I like to work with when I'm teaching this particular class. Number 14 is one I use a lot, so we're just going to use number 14. So we're going to hit load. So right now, we're not in Stitch Creator. We're just in regular sewing mode. So I'm going to sew out this pattern so that you can see what it looks like normal without any changes. No adjustments have been made. This is just going to be the normal pattern. All right, this is done. It locked, it cut. All right. So this is the normal stitch. And in a minute, we'll turn the lighting back up and I'll change my view. Whoops, hit a button. And you'll be able to see it a little bit closer. Okay, so let's say we did this stitch and we want to take it into Stitch Creator. I can go into my Stitch Edit button and I have a quick link here that takes me right into Stitch Creator. So now it has brought this particular stitch into Stitch Creator. When it brings in any stitch into Stitch Creator, the entire stitch is highlighted. So we can tell that because the entire stitch is green. If the stitch was not green, it means it's not highlighted, and we have to highlight certain parts of it to edit just those parts. But right now the whole thing is green, so we're going to edit the entire stitch at the same time. So a real easy, fast one we can do is we can go down here to our little button that says Edit. And right here we have times 3. So times 3, if I touch this button, you can see it got even darker on the screen. And what this has done is it has tripled over the stitch, because let's just say when we're doing this particular stitch, it is not bright enough. It's not standing out of our fabric enough. And we really want to make it much bolder. So then we can just quickly bring the stitch in to Stitch Creator, we can come here and hit ×3, and now when we sew it out, it's going to be a much bolder stitch. So let me sew this out. All right, so now you can see it's the same stitch. This is the original, unaltered. All we did is bring the stitch in, we hit ×3, and you can see how much bolder the stitch is. So this is a really fast, practical way to use Stitch Creator, is to make any stitch pop out more out of your fabric. So really great feature, but let's play around with a few more adjustments in Stitch Creator. All right, so we are still ×3, so we're still highlighted. So we're going to actually turn that off. So I'm going to go to Edit, and you can see my ×3 button is still lit up in green. So I'm going to turn that off. That put the stitch back to normal. So let me close my little Edit tab. So now what I want to do is show you how we can edit certain parts of the stitch and not have to edit the whole thing at once. So I am going to turn off this little green icon up here. That is going to turn off anything that is currently highlighted on the stitch. Now, this tells me that there is 36 stitches that make up this particular pattern. So I can scroll up, and as you're scrolling up, it's going to move up through the stitches, and you can see there's a little green dot here that is moving up. And when I get that dot right where I want it to be, then I can turn my highlighter back on. And as I move up now, it's going to highlight whatever section I am on at that point in time. All right, so now I highlighted just the middle bow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my Edit tab, and then I'm going to hit my ×3. So now I think you already know what's going to happen. It is going to sew out that stitch where the main part of the stitch is still a single pattern, but then every alternating bow is going to be thick and tripled over. So I can really go in there and fine tune and adjust exactly how I want to make these changes. So now let me hit stop here, and we'll take a look at this stitch. So let me move my camera view here so that you can see that. So now, all the same stitch, but I'm getting all these different variations by playing with it in Stitch Creator. So let's go back. I'm going to show you something else that we can do in Stitch Creator now with this same exact stitch. So let me change my camera angle back. All right, so I'm going to go back into Stitch Creator by using my link here. It's going to take me back into Stitch Creator. I am going to go back. I'm going to turn off my ×3 back to normal. I'm going to turn off my highlighter, and I am going to go back up to the middle bow again by hitting the up button. So now I'm in the middle bow section. I'm going to do just kind of like we did last time. I'm going to turn my highlighter back on, and now I'm going to select that middle bow. So now that entire bow is highlighted, but this time I'm going to go into Edit, and I am going to hit my trash can. Whoop, it's gone. I no longer have that bow. Let me go ahead and sew this out here. So, yes, I can triple over things. I can remove stitches. I can move stitches around. I can do all kinds of fun stuff in Stitch Creator. So let me cut this, and you can take a look at this stitch. So again, all the same stitch. I'm just changing it in Stitch Creator. Isn't that great? So I pulled out one of the bows and completely redesigned this. So let me move back over here. Get my camera angle back the way I want it. And let's go back into Stitch Edit and link into Stitch Creator here. If I went to the Stitch Creator tab at the bottom, which I could do, it's just going to start with a new one. So my stitch would be off the screen. But I just wanted to show you with this particular stitch too, if I wanted to grab stitch points, I can grab stitch points. I can move my little cursor around. And if I wanted to move stitches, see this? How I can move the stitches around. If I needed to do that, I can do that. You have such complete control. Let's go here. Maybe I can make these 2 points touch, almost. And the nice thing here is I get a preview, right? This doesn't look like anything. I'm just moving things around randomly, but I get a preview of what my stitch would look like if I stitch this out with the changes that I'm making to it. So I can really, really get creative here in Stitch Creator. So again, any stitch that is built into the machine, you can bring it into Stitch Creator and you can change it, move stitches around, pull stitches out, triple stitches over, or we can start from scratch. So let's do that. Let's start from scratch. I'm gonna go into edit here and we're just gonna trash can everything that's on the screen by holding down the trash can. Now everything is gone and I have a blank screen to work with. So let's go ahead and start from scratch. So when we start from scratch, of course, we need a stitch to play with. That is what this button is right here. So I'm going to hit this button and I have a stitch here. So this particular stitch is just one stitch. I can make it long, I can move it around. And again, we can see our preview, exactly what's happening. But I have a stitch that I like to build in Stitch Creator. It's a very simple stitch, but I kind of like the way that it turns out. If you've seen any of my older PFAFF videos, you've maybe have seen me do this before. So let's go. So this particular stitch is going to be a hand looking stitch. So what I do is I take one stitch and I make it as long as I can possibly make it. And then I'm going to get a second stitch and I just hit my duplicate button to duplicate that stitch. But I'm going to move that stitch and I'm going to put it right on top of itself. Just like that. If I'm a little off, I can use my scroll wheel to move it around so it's perfectly in line with the other one. I am going to get another stitch and that one I'm going to bring down on top of this stitch. And I'm going to get another one and I am going to do this 8 times. So I'm layering this stitch over the top of itself 8 times. So let me just fudge that one there. And I think we're almost done. We're at 7 of 7 right now. And we're going to get one more stitch. And again, this is just my little creation. This is me having time and just playing around in Stitch Creator. So, okay, so I've put 8 stitches on top of each other, and now I'm going to get another stitch. And this stitch I want to make small. So I'm gonna grab this stitch and I'm gonna bring it up. And it's gonna be much smaller, about the length of one of the little grid squares on there. And I'm gonna get one more. All right, we're done. So let me show you guys how this stitches out. So I'm gonna hit OK here. It's gonna bring it into the regular screen. Doesn't look like much right now, but this is my take on a hand looking stitch. So I'm gonna change the camera view. And I'm gonna use my start button. All right, let me turn the lighting back up on the machine. I have turned the lighting down just for camera reasons, for glare. So let me turn that up so you can see the stitch a little bit better. So this is my hand looking stitch. So it's supposed to look like you did it more with embroidery floss and has tiny little connectors. But this is a stitch that I kind of came up with in Stitch Creator. So again, Stitch Creator, we can do so many wonderful things. We could spend all day playing around in Stitch Creator. But get in there, get creative. That's why you bought these machines, because they're very creative machines. Play around with these apps. I call them apps. They're like little programs that's built into the machine. You know, we have Sequence Creator. We have a Stitch Creator program, and they're really just meant to take the machine to a whole nother level. So get creative playing in there. And when you have made something that you're proud of and you want to save into the machine, don't forget to use this little heart icon. So when you touch the heart, it's going to pop up with your save menu, and now you can save and name the stitch, and it's going to save itself into the machine. So definitely do that. I want to play around with a few other features on the machine. We're going to play now with our mitered corner feature. But before that, I just want to talk a little bit about something that we did in one of the first videos. If we remember back to the first video, we were in our home screen and we went to the MySonat blog and we were looking at the different projects that they have in the blog. And one of the projects we came across was this one right here. And if you remember, we clicked on this little blue link and we saved that stitch into the machine. So when we save that stitch in the machine, you might be thinking, well, where did that stitch go? Well, that's easy. It went to the little cloud symbol right here. So when I touch on the cloud symbol, I can see that stitch that I saved into the machine. This is going to be the same area that if we are saving other stitches, so if we were in Stitch Creator and we made a stitch we liked, or we were in Sequence Creator and we made something we liked and we saved it using our heart menu, they are going to show up here in our little cloud symbol. So now there is our stitch. That is the hat that was in the blog that we saved. And I actually just stitched out this hat. So if you can see it, yep, stitched out really, really great. And the nice thing with the blog, this is why I like people to spend time in there, because not only are you going to get inspired, this is really cool in the blog, but not only that is they're giving you stuff. This stitch is not a stitch that was in the machine until I clicked it and saved it from the blog. So take advantage of it. Get free stuff. There's going to be cool things in there. So spend time again in that blog. All right. But again, you're going to get to that from the cloud is how you get to any of your saved stitches, anything that you've saved into the machine. So we are going to now go and we're going to load a stitch. Let me find the stitch that I want to load here because I have a few stitches that I like to work with, but it always takes me a minute to find them. So hold on one second. All right, so the stitch we're going to work with is going to be in our quilting menu, and it's going to be in submenu 3, so 2.3, which is the crazy patch stitches. And number 6 is the one that I'm going to work with. So I'm going to click load. The only reason I picked this stitch, we can do these mitered corners or tapered stitches with any of the stitches that are built into the machine outside of the big maxi stitches. But I like this one only because it is a very uniform stitch. It's very consistent on its pattern, so you're going to be able to very easily see what's happening when we select these mitered corners. So that is this icon right here. So we're going to select this icon, and now it pops up at the menu, and it's going to ask us what we want to do. The default is going to be multiple, meaning that it's going to do the same angle at the beginning as it is at the end, and that's usually what I want. So we're going to select 45s. So now we have a 45 degree at the beginning and we have a 45 degree at the end. You're also going to notice there's a reverse symbol that popped up. That reverse symbol means that in order for you to finish the end taper, you need to touch the reverse button, and then it'll start the end taper for you when you're ready to end at the end of the stitch. Yeah. So let's go ahead and sew this out and you will see how this works. All right, so when we start, it's going to start with its beginning taper automatically. Then it's going to sew to its full width. So we'll let it sew a little bit here. And then when we're ready to finish the end taper, I'm going to touch the reverse to let it know I'm ready to finish at the end. It is going to taper down and it's going to stop. Now I have the machine set needle down right now on purpose because I want to just rotate the fabric a little bit here because I am going to try to do a frame, or at least half a frame, so you can get the point here. So we're going to start sewing again. When we start sewing again, it knows we're back at the beginning, so it's going to start with a taper. To the end, I'm going to touch the reverse, and it's going to finish off with an end taper. All right, you see that? I got a nice mitered corner. So very cool that we can put different angles on it. I'm going to move the camera back over, and we're going to select a different angle. All right, so I'm going to go back to my menu, and you can see there's lots of different options. I always like to show off the 60-degree center justification also because we can. So I'm going to start sewing, and again, it's going to start now with a 60-degree middle taper. Then it goes to full width. And when I'm ready to finish my end taper, I touch the reverse, and then it'll taper down. And now we have a 60-degree taper on both sides. So I like the taper features. They're a lot of fun. I understand these aren't things that people use in their everyday sewing, but it's a really cool feature that is built into the machine. And I like the way PFAFF has done it, where they're going to allow you just to work with almost all of the stitches to put tapers on them, where I have a few other brands that they do a few taper stitches, but they're only on very select stitches. But PFAFF gives you the freedom to really play around with all of your stitches that way. So that is the taper stitches.